How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Hack Slash Double Feature. This is a pretty cool hack slash story because it's not just one story, it's a double feature, and we're getting two little ideas here. And honestly, this is something I wish Hack Slash would do more often. Hack Slash, we know from Omnibus 1, worked really good in the anthology format, and we know from trailers that Hack Slash works really well in short stories as well. So the double feature was a cool idea, and it managed to do two very different and interesting things, but also give us a little bit of a break. I mean, we had Closer and Mindkiller coming right after the Reanimator crossover. There's been a lot going on in Hack Slash lately, so to take it aside to calm down for a bit, probably what the comic really needed to do, but each issue in here really does set up something new and interesting. The first one, the Mad Mailman, we get a sort of Nancy Drew parody with Cat Curio, and she's an interesting character, and it really does cover not just what Nancy Drew was, but what a lot of the fan base was, and you get her being this overly enthusiastic for Mysteries kid, talking all about the tools she ordered from the detective catalog, but also a good bit of sort of turning it on its head in a realistic motif, the idea that she's a kid that solves mysteries. What if she wanders into a bloody murder? That's not the best place for her to be, and she might be in a bit of danger. This is a hack slash story without Cassie and Vlad in it, which was kind of surprising, but when the story tips its hand and you find out how it's connected to the whole thing at the end, it really does a good job to set up a new potential plot that I think is really interesting. Then after that, you get Bloodblower, and this is an interesting story about a snowblower that's going after people's pets, so a bit of a different kind of slasher, and of course this is going to tick off Lisa, who wants to go and track this thing down. We get an interesting group here with Cassie, Lisa, and Pooch. I mean, Lisa, it's always good to get more from her character, and Pooch, you gotta love Pooch, and he really does get more of his time to shine in this one. But it's not just these three, we do check in with the others as well. They're kind of staying at Chris and Lisa's house while the whole thing's blowing over, and it's actually a Christmas story. And it is a good bit of taking a breather after everything that just happened in Mindkiller and getting the characters a chance to reset and understand some things, and especially the place where it left Cassie and Georgia. We actually get a really good moment between Gertrude and Georgia here, kind of trying to understand everything that's going on. So Mad Mailman, a good aside and setup, and then Bloodblower, a good cool down from all that's happened in the comic recently. And overall, a really good pairing for a double feature. Some interesting stuff. But all that being said, if you guys want to see a little bit more, let's switch over to the close-up camera. I'll show you guys some of the story and some of the art. I'll be avoiding major spoilers though, so without further ado, to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle taking a closer look at Hack Slash Double Feature. Once again, we're going to be looking inside Omnibus 3, and let's bring it closer to the camera. The writer, as always, is Tim Seeley, and if we look over here, it's actually separated this story into two sections in the credit line. Meanwhile, in the actual book itself, it will just have the one cover page. But anyway, we can see that these are both listed as number 23, and Mad Mailman has art by Ross Campbell, and Bloodblower has art by Mike Dimayuga. After that, let's flip to the cover page, and I do like this cover, a nice split down the middle. Each story has their own title, and they each get a little image, and then plus we get Cassie and Vlad up there kind of staring in shock at the stories. Now, this is the A cover for this. The B cover is actually what they use on the front of this omnibus, which is pretty cool. Anyway, after that, we get into the stories proper. I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but I do want to take a look at some of the story and some of the art to do a bit of analysis, so let's dive in, but I'll be avoiding the end bits. We open up with Cat Curio in case number 1012, the case of the Mad Mad Mailman, and we get to see Kat there, and she's talking about her babysitting job and then realizes she should be focusing on her other job as a kid detective. And I really do like this scene where it's like super violent and there's blood everywhere, and then there's a young kid detective trying to figure it all out. Yeah, you do kind of get the irony of what if Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys focused on tougher crimes. But of course, not all the police are super happy she's there, and yeah, she probably shouldn't be. The thing is, she actually knew the mailman, and he was a really good guy, and she doesn't believe he would do a thing like this. He broke into a sorority house and murdered a bunch of girls with a fire poker. And we do get this scene here where she flashes back to getting her detective stuff in the mail, and she's talking the mailman's ear off about all the stuff her microscope can do. It cut to his brutally beaten dead body. Well, after the police send her away, Kat will then find a tiny package that the mailman apparently dropped that is leaking black goo similar to what was found on the mailman's shirt. Could this be a clue? Kat will examine it back at her house under her microscope that she got from that detective mail order thing, and then the police will show up at the door, and Kat doesn't trust them, so she'll send them both away. And then it's time to sneak out with all your spy gear and get admittedly way over your head. Like I said, this is a pretty fun story. You do get the irony of Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys and what if they took on way too tough cases, but also just that idea of being a kid and taking everything way too seriously and talking on and on about all the cool stuff your spy equipment does, even though in real life you would never ever need any of that. It's a fun story, and I like how at the very end you finally see how it connects to everything. It's got some cool moments. But after that, we get Blood Blower, and we get to see this little road ranger station, one of the few places that is open on Christmas Day. And inside we have Cassie and Lisa. They're getting weapons here again because it's the only place you can get them. And Lisa wants a little touristy knife, but Cassie is finally getting a new baseball bat. You remember in a battle with her mother, she actually broke her old one, and it's been quite a few issues since Cassie's had a bat. We also get Pooch in the car there singing Baby It's Cold Outside quite horribly. You gotta love Pooch. Cassie gets an idea. She finds this stuffed animal, and they decide to make Pooch look more like a poodle, and he is super upset, and boy, you know, his dialogue's funny, and they got this pose right where he's all hunkered down and upset, and Cassie's just glad that she doesn't have to be bait for once. So they're waiting around for the snowblower, and during this whole thing they've had a few conversations, and one of the things is Lisa notices Cassie and Georgia aren't talking, but she is totally oblivious to why. However, as they're kind of doing the stakeout thing, they realize that maybe the thing that's killing the animals only kills them when they make too much noise, and that's where we get the glorious scene where Pooch starts singing Baby It's Cold Outside. It's pretty funny, and leads to a fun enough climax even if it is cut a little bit short. But one thing I also really like with this story is we do get to check in on the rest of the crew. Gertrude and Georgia are both still there after the Mind Killer arc, and there's Chris and Vlad just kind of sitting and talking, and it's good to see them just have a nice quiet moment with each other. And we do get this bit where even though Lisa was oblivious, Gertrude is able to pick out what's going on and says to Georgia, maybe Cassie doesn't mean everything she says. She probably really does care about you. And I also do like Goblin there. I like that he's back. And of course, the new police chief is there, and she's suspecting that something's up. And there's Vlad playing Rock Band there. Like I said, it's a fun story. The ending is cut a little bit short because of the page count, but I like that it did act as a Christmas story, a little bit of a rest for the characters, but also some good character moments with Cassie talking to Lisa and Georgia talking to Gertrude. Overall, a good little breath for the story, and both of them, I think, do their own thing really well. The Mad Mailman story does wind up connecting to the main plot in an interesting way and setting some things up, and the Blood Blower story gives us some character beats and allows us to recover from a very long strand of action issues. Overall, Double Feature is really fun, and I actually do really like when Hack Slash gives us an anthology comic like this. Overall, a good read, can't wait to get to more. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my hack slash playlist. If you want to see me talk about more issues of the series, you should be able to find those there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.